guys.
Hi guys.
So for a while now, Pri and I have been talking about making a video talking about living in both the US and Brazil. It's been on our minds. And then we got a great question from one of you guys. Shelby Cantwell asked, can you guys do a video discussing the pros and the cons of living in both countries? And we thought, absolutely. It's definitely been something we've been thinking about since we are about to head back for our vacation to the US.
Yes, and just a quick disclaimer, guys. Obviously, these comparisons that we're going to be making are from our own experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've lived in New York City and in Chicago in the Midwest in the US. And in Brazil, we live in the northeast of Brazil in Recife. So we can only compare our own experiences to, you know, between the two countries. And both countries are huge and they have differences in regions and cultures, you know, weather and everything. So
yeah, both countries so diverse, but this is the Ryan and Priscilla experience.
Yes, exactly. So we're gonna start with number one pro about living in Brazil. We're gonna be looking down because the computer's right here where we took our notes. The very first pro is actually that we can get local cheap produce here.
Yeah.
It's so good, right?
It's so easy. Yeah. We have a beautiful little market right down the street from us, and it's such a good experience. The stuff comes from the local countryside here. It looks beautiful, and it doesn't cost a whole lot either.
Yeah. And this is, of course, versus the US, where yes, you can find, you know, local organic produce as well, but it's just more expensive. If you go to Whole Foods or to Trader Joe's or like to stores like that, that are wonderful, you know that you're gonna spend a little penny, you know, a pretty good penny there.
Yeah, exactly. You get a great product, but you pay a little bit more for it. So definitely a pro of living in Brazil.
Yes, for sure.
Number two, the weather and the beach. I mean, come on, it's beautiful here. Every day here we wake up to a paradise. The beach looks wonderful. We look out to the ocean. So many people from Brazil live so close to the water and have such great access to it here.
And we are very, very luckier than most, really, that we live right in front of the beach. We get to, you know, open our window every morning and just see the ocean right there, and it's amazing. So this is a privilege that we don't take for granted.
Absolutely.
You know, about living in Brazil.
Right, and we loved living in the US and having those 4 seasons. They're so wonderful, but we also suffered through some bitter winters in New York and Chicago. So I mean, this is definitely a plus in Brazil's column.
Yeah.
You guys on the East Coast in the States, you guys are probably digging out right now from another major snowstorm.
We love winter up to December 31st.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's, come on, spring. It's time.
Okay, time. Number 3 pro about living in Brazil is that we get to experience really close relationships with my family. That, you know, because everybody lives in the same city. So all my family are in one city in Recife, and we get to have Sunday lunches with them. You know, I get to spend time with my grandpa, with my aunts, with all my cousins, and of course with my parents and siblings. So this is a very unique, I would say, Brazilian experience because we have, you know, for us, because we have access to this family bond that you know, in Brazil it just happens to be like that. Families really see each other all the time.
Family's so important here, right? And people do have the tendency not to move far away from home. So you end up with like an entire family clustered in a really small area. Whereas like my experience in the States was my family was just all over the place. I knew so many families just like mine where, you know, an aunt lived over there, an uncle over there, the grandparents, you know, were out west. So it was a little bit complicated to get everybody together, and I didn't really have many family reunion moments growing up.
Right.
Whereas here we experience it every week. So definitely a pro from Brazil. Number 4 pro about living in Brazil is people's energy and the warmth here in the country. There's such an amazing rhythm and energy to the country. It's almost difficult to describe if you don't live here, but people are just so happy, so outgoing, and willing to engage with absolutely everybody, whether they know you or not.
Yeah, and you know, in the US, people are very friendly as well, but there is just more of an idea of efficiency. So living in big cities like we have, sometimes you just don't have the time to stop and have a simple conversation with somebody, you know, that you find in your path. And here, you know, even if you're a foreigner, people will take the time to talk to you and, you know, and explain whatever it is that you need information on or whatever. In the US, we have a lot of, you know, experience with friendly people, especially in your hometown of Door County. People are really nice and friendly.
Like back in Sister Bay for sure.
Right, but at the same time, we know that there is efficiency and people are in a hurry, and sometimes, you know, it's more important to accomplish the task than to take the time for a conversation. But
yeah, I think that's sort of getting to the heart of it also.
Yeah.
People in the US, they move a little bit faster than they do here. Here, it's like there's always time for it. So definitely a pro for Brazil.
Yeah. Number 5, I especially would say that is like beauty treatments here in Brazil are so much cheaper. Am I right, ladies? Am I right?
I don't have a whole lot to say about this one, so take it away, Priscilla.
I just think, you know, experiencing like, I don't know, getting a manicure and pedicure in the US versus here, or haircut or going to a salon. Here in Brazil, you get really good service for very little money. So just an example, you know, to get a manicure and pedicure here in a good salon, you would pay in Recife, you would pay 30 reais, which is the Brazilian currency,
and it's like $10.
Which is $10, $10 US dollars. So I've never experienced that cheap of a manicure and a pedicure in the US that I was comfortable actually getting. So I think that's definitely a pro. It's just a little bit more expensive over there.
I mean, this is the land of Brazilian blowouts and Brazilian waxes.
Yeah, exactly.
It all comes from here.
Exactly. So, beauty treatments.
Number 5 for Brazil.
If your ladies ever come and visit Brazil, go get your beauty treatment on.
Now we'll shift gears here. Pros about living in the US.
Yes.
So the number 1 pro about living in the US is definitely the variety of cuisines.
Yes.
If you can imagine it, like you can find it in Chicago or New York. We know it's not everywhere in the US, but the US just seems to attract all this incredible ethnic food, whether you're in the mood for Ethiopian or Vietnamese or Thai food or whatever.
Wherever,
you know? Like Italian food from a very specific region in New York, you can get it there.
Yeah.
And here our options are a little bit more limited.
Yeah, over here in Recife at least, yes, you can find, I think the most traditional, you know, type of like ethnic food that you can find is Chinese and Japanese, like sushi, but they're Brazilianized.
Yeah.
So the Chinese food and the sushi are really, you know, catered. They're catered for the Brazilian taste, so they're a little bit more sweet. There's always cream cheese, a lot of cream cheese in the sushi. We don't have the variety here in Recife at least. So I miss, and Ryan also, I especially miss Thai food because it's my favorite, and you miss all these other foods.
When we get back to Denver, we're gonna go
eat
crazy,
a lot.
obviously.
Yeah. Ramen is in your list, isn't
Ramen
it?
is way up on the list.
Number 2 pro about living in the US is safety, and this is a big one. We couldn't really talk about pros and cons without mentioning safety. Obviously, we lived in big cities, and you know, it's not that we are completely safe 100% of the time, but we never feel like, you know, even walking the dog at night living in Chicago, we never felt threatened or unsafe. And here in Brazil, you just have to be more careful.
Yeah, you just have to be a little bit more mindful here. You know, it's again, we've had big city experiences in the US, and not always the safest moments there either, but here you just have to always keep your eyes open because it's an issue throughout the country, and it's sort of the elephant in the room here, and we'd be remiss not to say something about it. You know, we live great lives here, and we're really proud of them and really happy of them, but we're always just, you know, we're always aware. We're trying to be very careful always here in Brazil. Number 3 pro about living in the US is the transportation system. How easy it is to just hop in your car and go anywhere, because the roads are so like long and straight and well marked and wide. And that's a little bit different than it is here in Brazil. I mean, you gotta watch out here. The signage is a little bit hit or miss.
Right, and also transportation system as far as public transportation as well. Especially for me, because I've always loved taking public transportation in Chicago and in New York. You know, I love the metro system in both cities. Here, the system is just a little bit hit or miss. So the buses are quite full. You know, the metro system in Recife is very small, so it doesn't take you everywhere. We're lucky that we have a car here in Brazil.
Definitely lucky.
Yeah, but it's not the same. I miss the ease of taking public transportation in the US.
Yeah, definitely a pro for the US. If you like road tripping, the US has got you covered.
Yeah. Number 4 is ease of shopping. What do we mean by that? We can find pretty much everything here in Recife, but in the US it's so much easier. You can find way more variety and for way less money. When it comes to import products, I would say electronics, clothing, and baby stuff.
Yeah,
right?
those sorts of things are taxed here pretty highly. It's like a 60% import tax on things coming into Brazil, so you just pay a little bit more for them here. You can get them, but you have to pay. Where the US, this is definitely a pro because you've got, you know, Amazon.com or, you know, a Target right down the block, and the selection is huge. You can find really anything you want from pretty much anywhere in the world, and you don't pay a whole lot for it. So.
And there's competition between brands as well. So things are just cheaper in the US. There's so much of everything, and here not so much.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I mean, it's one of the reasons why we're taking this vacation back to the US coming up soon, because we're going to do some baby shopping and we're going to show you the haul.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 5, our last pro here living in the US, is international travel is so much cheaper. It's just cheaper to get around, you know, easier to hop on a plane from the US and fly sort of pretty much anywhere, I guess, domestically and international.
Yeah, and I would say that is mostly because of the geography of both countries, like, right? Because,
like how connected the US is to Europe and other
everything,
places.
yeah, everywhere else. And because here in Brazil, we don't have, for example, here in Recife, we don't have international flights every day to everywhere. So if you live in Chicago or in New York, you can just get a flight an hour later, you know, anywhere in Europe, anywhere in the world. You can go to South America. And here you just have to do more planning. And because there are a lot of flights available, of course the tickets are more expensive.
Yeah, and we are also a little isolated here in Recife also, we should mention. So when we head back to the States, there is a flight to Miami, but it can be a really expensive flight to Miami, and it's not even every day.
And full.
It's like
also
3 times a week, I think, they fly from Recife to Miami. So we have to first fly all the way to Sao Paulo,
which is in the south.
Which is in the south of Brazil, and then we fly all the way back over Recife to wherever it is that we're going in the States. So
it adds time to a trip and adds cost to a trip.
Yeah, and when you got a baby bump here, we'll find out. We'll find out.
So guys, these are the pros and cons that we came up with, and of course, again, these are according to our experience, and we really hope that you guys can relate to some of them. If you can, let us know in the comments below, you know, what you think. Also, if you lived in a foreign country, what you think the differences are, and what was like the most interesting difference for you.
Yeah, for sure. And we hope you guys liked this video too. If you did, give it a great big thumbs up, and leave one of those comments down below. Let us know, you know, what the differences are, and if you've had different experiences living in a foreign country than we have. And subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you back in our next video.
Bye.
There's so many ways to escape.